miner for under $100. Wait, what? It's 3 days until the fourth Bitcoin halving in April 2024. And yes, I'm telling you that there is in fact a Bitcoin mining rig that you can buy for less than $100, which in theory earns more money than it burns in costs. How can that be possible? All right, let's get into it. So there is a Bitcoin mining rig, the Avalon Canon or Canon or however they pronounce it, mining rig, which is made again by Avalon, which makes many different kinds of Bitcoin mining rigs, including some pretty high-end ones that are reliable and good, according to many Bitcoin miners who have used them. And they have recently released a mini Bitcoin miner. And what does that mean? It's a very small profile, very basically a small device, not bigger than like a Mac Mini or any other kind of PC clone mini computer. It's in fact smaller than many of them. And it lets you mine Bitcoin, and you can plug it in anywhere. It has Wi-Fi. It has a pretty silent fan. It never makes more than 33 decibels of noise, according to the manufacturer. That's pretty quiet if you know anything about Bitcoin miners, right? They're not known to be silent. So 33 decibels is relatively quiet. They've got like a little magnetic thing for the back that lets you close the fan in terms of, and it still lets air out, but it kind of dresses it, it makes it pretty or whatever. It has a little blue light or RGB light thing going on because why not? And all in all, it's a pretty smart and snazzy looking Bitcoin miner for the price of $100. And the beauty of it is that you can use it to join, obviously, a mining pool. In fact, if you don't already have a mining pool account on any particular Bitcoin miner, it comes with a QR code that you can use to basically create very easily an account on a well-known and well-established Bitcoin mining pool service provider. Right, so you basically scan the QR code if you don't already have an account anywhere, and it lets you easily create an account. And then once you've created the account, you basically just join a mining pool, and then your mining rig is connected to that pool, and its computer power, its hash power, is being used for the pool to be able to mine some Bitcoin. Now, obviously, there's no guarantees when you are mining, right? It's not like every mining pool will actually ever win a Bitcoin, so to speak, get a Bitcoin as a reward, because in fact, it's random, and you don't know which mining rig is going to get the Bitcoin, because you don't necessarily have any way of knowing which computer is most likely to get the coin, because they have to solve the puzzle, if you will. They have to solve the math problem, right, which is all based on the SHA-256 algorithm. And only the one computer that gets that solution is counted as the winner, So of course, if you're part of a mining pool, then if all those computer powers are tied together and they're viewed as one computer, so the people who are in the mining pool, get their share of the reward based on how many computers are in that pool, providing how much hash power to the pool. Now, are you likely to be able to mine any amount of Bitcoin using this particular computer? Well, yes, if you're part of a mining pool, then there's very decent probabilities that eventually you'll be earning a fair amount of Satoshis for your efforts. Your efforts literally are making sure that the device is working, connected to the internet, running the necessary software, connected to your mining accounts, and of course making sure that you cover your electricity fees. And if you are spending not more than 12 cents per kilowatt hour, then in theory this rig will earn you more Satoshis than the cost of the Satoshis you'll be burning to mine. So the Satoshis you earn should outpace the electrical cost as long as you're not spending more than 12 cents as of mid-April 2024. 12 cents per kilowatt hour. That's your electric rate cutoff. If you're in a particularly expensive place where electricity costs you 15 or 20 cents or more per kilowatt hour, then this really isn't a way to earn Satoshis in an efficient manner, and you're frankly better off just buying Satoshis, stacking them and racking them, DCA, whatever, right? Just buy on any given schedule or randomly, whatever you prefer, if you're looking to stack Satoshis. Keep in mind, again, there are no guarantees when you join a mining pool that mining pool will ever actually get a block reward. But as it is, if you join a fairly decent mining pool that is still accepting new miners to join it, and you see that that they have a good amount of hash power mining, then they have a pretty good chance of mining some Bitcoin. And over time, if there's a fair amount of rewards that it earns, then you should be in the green, and preferably sooner rather than later, but that all depends on the success of the mining pool that you join. Now, what's amazing about this thing is that it is actually a full miner, right? Meaning, first of all, you're securing Bitcoin by running this thing. You're helping us secure Bitcoin. You're running a node for less than $100, which is pretty cheap just for a node. Because even if you were to buy the parts and assemble it yourself, you already spend, half that amount just to run a node without a miner. At the very least, right? We're talking if you bought like the most simple components that you could possibly buy, and assemble them all yourself, right? Like a Raspberry Pi or who knows what, and you bought it in pieces, right? And that kind of thing. If you're actually looking for a miner, the cheapest other mini miners are usually at least a couple $100, if not $500 or almost $1,000 for mini miners. And they're not nearly as small, frankly, as this one is, and they're a lot louder. Not quite as loud as full-size miners, but definitely louder than 33 decibels. Third of all, most of those mini miners still require an Ethernet line, so you can't just use Wi-Fi on them, at least in most cases that I'm aware of. And fourth of all, this device is again far cheaper than full-size rigs that each individual miner costs, thousands of dollars if you're lucky, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, right? So the cost difference is like 50 to 1 for a full-size miner versus this thing. Now, does that mean also that your hash power is that much more depleted? Well, obviously you're going to have a lot less hash power in a mini miner than in a full-size miner. So why should you use this if it's barely going to, earn you some sats? Well, first of all, if you buy one, or more than one, right, the amount of sats you earn, if you keep them, and you earn them from mining, from basically just plugging in a little device and setting it up, it shouldn't take you more than, a short number of minutes. You just plug it in and forget about it, right? And you can check up on it daily or weekly or monthly. But as long as you're earning more than you're burning, then it's a free money printer in a sense. It's not a big one. And if you can afford bigger miners and you want to be a miner, then that's a whole different story. But for the person who kind of wants to dip their toes into mining and wants to earn even a modest amount of Satoshis to start with, just to see what it's like to be a miner and to see if it's worth, taking it more seriously, this is a really great option. Also, by being a miner, like I said, you secure the network, but more than securing the network, you're processing transactions locally on your mining machine. Right? As a miner, when you're running a node, you process transactions. Now, the beauty of that is that this helps you, if you're not already familiar with it, this helps you better comprehend how the network runs, how transactions are done, the kind of, fees involved, right, that are distributed to the processors. And more than that, you're setting up that device to help you not just understand the network better, but in theory, you can also use mini miners just like you can use regular miners because they have a full node running on them. You can use that mini miner to run transactions, like for yourself, meaning you'll have a faster transaction time. Now, how that works, obviously it's best if you have more than one. And if you have 3 or more, that's great. That's really ideal. Because if you can run a transaction and validate it across 3 nodes, well, boom, your transaction, once it's verified, by the remainder of the network, having updated its database, then your transaction will basically always be first in your line as long as you queue it up that way. Now, again, so it's useful for if you run a bunch of transactions that may be, quite costly in terms of time. This lets you, because it's a node, lets you run your transaction faster. Again, if you have more than one, it's the most helpful. Ideally, like I said, 3 or more. And even if you have 3 or more, if you have, you can have up to 5 of these things. $500 it would cost you. It's $99 the thing, so literally it would cost you like $4.95 to have 5 of these things, and that would still be cheaper than a lot of mini Bitcoin miners that are on the market today that frankly don't perform much better than this thing. So you could already have 5 for the price of 1 and be mining almost 5 times as much as one $500 miner, or at least 2 or 3 times as many of the leading mini miners. So, do I recommend it for the average person? At $99, and I'm not paid by them or affiliate linked or anything like that. But I think for anybody who wants to learn how to mine, or anybody who has an interest in processing transactions quicker without having to wait, a long time to find a miner or a node runner to run your transactions, I think this is a very good deal overall. Right? It's kind of hard to argue that $99 isn't a good deal for a device that lets you be a node and be a miner and actually earn by joining a mempool. If you're joining a mining pool and you're able to actually stack some sats for the price of, I don't know, lunch for a week or whatever you spend $100 on, groceries for a few days for a family or whatever it is, right? It's a pretty good deal. Now, could it be that you don't really make very much money from it, or any? It could be. Could it be there's going to be a massive financial loss? Well, if $100 is a massive financial loss to you, then sure, anything's possible. But for most people, especially if you have like a job or something, $100, shouldn't be too big of a deal. Even $500 if you can afford it, that would let you have a bunch of miners that you could then control a little network of nodes, and that would get you obviously a bigger share of the mempool whenever it gets rewarded for a block it solves, right? That would be a very easy way to stack sats more efficiently than by buying a miner. Now, would I recommend you getting 5 of them at once? No. I would recommend you get one if you're going to get any at all. Right? If you want to experiment at being a miner and you want to do it on the cheap because you have a low budget or whatever, or you're just kind of curious and you don't necessarily want to invest a lot yet, then sure, get one. It's $100, $99. It's kind of unbelievable, but it's true. And yeah, again, you could build your own miners, for about that price or something, but they wouldn't be high end, right? They'd be like low end computers, and you wouldn't really be able to mine much more effectively than with this particular ASIC, right? It's designed and built purely for the purpose of mining, and it has, obviously a limited amount of hash power compared to, full-size miners. Kind of obviously, right? You're spending $100 on something, somebody else is spending $5,000 on it. Which one do you think is going to be, better in terms of performance? Obviously, the one that costs $5,000 and is a market leader and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, if you're interested in getting into mining, then this is really a very, very cost-effective way to do it relative to other options. Plus, you're helping secure the network. Plus, you're able to, have your transactions be earlier in the queue if you have a bunch of them connected together and you know what to do with the software, etc. Which all of that you can learn online. And this gets you kind of into the world of mining and lets you understand, again, how mining works, what it's doing, and then it just helps you understand the cost of mining versus the reward of mining. It helps you understand the network better. It also helps you understand why Bitcoin is so valuable and why it is in such high demand, relative to other cryptocurrencies. Right? Why is there a demand of Bitcoin that has gone from $0 when it started at the end of 2008 as a white paper being released until when it started being mined in 2009, when it cost $0 to mine. Literally, your electricity was all it cost, and you couldn't even buy them from anyone. Most people just traded them if they did anything with them in exchange for services in kind or whatever, or goods in kind. It was just like used for bartering, to over $70,000, back in mid-March, right? Why is there that demand? Well, it's a limited asset, right? So there's a limited supply, And the mining rewards keep getting cut in half every 4 years, which means there's a supply shock, which means that the amount of Bitcoin available to be earned from mining, it just keeps getting lower and lower. Right now there's still 3 days to get 6.25 Bitcoin per block mined, which is a ton of money, right, for mining a block. We're talking, it's still over $300,000 right now at the current prices, last I looked. Right, so that's a lot. In 3 days, 4 days, right, come this Saturday basically, by 4:20 or so, it's going to be 3.125 Bitcoins per block as the reward. So this is a lot less money, right, per reward block. Nevertheless, if Bitcoin follows the same trajectory that it's been on since practically the beginning, there will eventually be, in the coming months or so, there will eventually be a pretty sizable run up on the price, and that would mean that you're still getting, look, even at $150,000 per block, that's not bad, right? I can tell you 15 years ago, nobody was getting $150,000 worth of money, even for the 50 Bitcoin that they were earning on every time they mined the block, right? Now those 50 Bitcoin are obviously worth a ton more, and whoever has held them, is very happy about that. But even 3 Bitcoin per block at the current prices is a very nice reward, but it is very likely that the price will even increase further in the coming months and years, and that's why it's definitely a worthy endeavor, in my opinion, to be a miner with that kind of rig, at the very least, in order to get your feet wet in mining. But again, if the cost doesn't make sense, if you live in a place where electricity costs more than 12 cents per kilowatt hour, then racking and stacking the old-fashioned way by DCAing is still your best option, and that is going to be the case for most people who aren't really interested in mining, and who live in places where electricity costs a bit more than 12 cents per kilowatt hour. All right, that's it. Have a nice day. Happy mining. Happy Bitcoining. Cheers.